I'll go ahead and start the recording now. Again, thank you for joining. This is Melinda or Mindy Hershey from Digital Literacy Faculty and joining you guys today for our Week 1 first global session. So a couple of little things that I wanted to bring to your attention that I've gotten some questions in my classes regarding are the registering for the sessions and if you need to register or when you need to register. You only need to register for a session if you can make it. So don't register for a session that you can't attend. If you do that and you can't attend it, that's okay. You don't have to unregister yourself. But really, you'll just be watching the archive. So there's no need to register if you're only going to watch the archive. So if you can't make a global session, which we hold them several times during the week, or you can't make some or one of your instructor's labs, go ahead and watch it via archive. So your instructor will probably post that archive in one of two places. So if you're in my class, I post them on the community discussion board. So other instructors post them under announcements too. So I would be checking the community discussion board on a regular basis for archives and or updates from your instructor, and also under announcements for archives and or messages from your instructor. And as far as messaging your instructor, the best way, if you're in my class, to get a hold of me is through messages in FSO. Don't put it in comments on like 1.1 or 1.2 because, it's likely we could miss that because we have so many notifications by all the students every day. So using the messages, the envelope there, and sending your instructor a message guarantees that they'll see it and be able to respond to you within 24 hours. So that being said, the other thing is that most of us in the DGL faculty work Monday through Friday, and we don't work weekends. So make sure that if you have something that's specifically that you need help with, that's addressed to your instructor, that you message your instructor before the end of the week, before Friday or before Friday afternoon, let's say. If you do need help over the weekend, we'll talk about that later. We do have a helpline set up for you guys, and we'll address that toward the end of the session. So we're going to talk a little bit about GoTo. You guys have probably watched or looked at the tutorial information, and we're going to talk about what digital literacy is. And a lot of times when students get done with this class, they're surprised how much they actually learned in this class. So we do delve pretty deeply into some topics. And then we're going to look at, briefly, we'll look at the tool DGO for your assignments. Remember that this is just a global overview session. So for specifics on the assignment, you'll be going to your instructor for that. Your instructor will be holding labs or posting resources to help you out with the major assignments. So again, these global sessions are just for overview. For more in-depth instruction, you'll be getting that from your individual instructor. And we'll talk about some different digital tools. Okay, so make sure that you've watched the tutorial and looked at all the GoTo training information. If you're here in this session, then you've probably done that, and you're probably good to go with what you need to do. But just a few notes or reminders for you guys. When you're in the session, you've already figured out how to do the chat box. You're more than welcome to chat during the session with one another through the chat box or via asking questions. You can also ask questions by raising your hand. And for raising your hand, you can, there's the little button where you can raise your hand, and then you want to make sure you press this button to put your hand down. Actually, this is a little bit different, but there's a down button for your hand there, and you want to make sure that you push that once your question's been addressed. And then you make sure that if you are asking questions that you have a microphone hooked up, or you have an internal microphone on your computer, and that you've got the volume turned up, and that you are good to go with the audio settings. If not, and you have an issue with it, that's no problem. You can still type your question in, and I'll be glad to address it through the chat box, but I'll go ahead and talk to you about the answer rather than typing it, of course. Okay. So again, you only need to register for a session if you can attend it. If you register for one and you can't attend it, that's okay. It won't count against you. Just catch the archive. Also, make sure you fill out the global attendance form for all of the global sessions, and you can find that link under materials here in Go To. You'll also find a link to the materials in the confirmation email when you register for the session. So do make sure you fill out the global archive attendance link for each of the global sessions that you attend. And whether you attend it live or archive, you still fill out the attendance form. Okay. Now, your instructor for their labs may also have some kind of confirmation that they use. Like I know Mark Shapins usually has you answer some questions to confirm that you attended or that you watched his archive. I have an attendance form. If you're in my class, you'll use that, and you can find it on the community discussion board. So if you have a question regarding that, if you haven't seen that info from your instructor, then you can find out from your instructor specifically what they use to track your attendance. And some instructors don't actually track your attendance for the labs, so check with your instructor if you have a question on that. Now, it's important, though, whether your instructor tracks attendance or not, to make sure that you either attend all of your instructor's labs or watch their archives, because you're not going to get the thorough information that you need, the thorough instruction that you need to get you through the class successfully if you don't do it. The other thing is we obviously spend a lot of time lecturing and putting these, our thoughts into a live lecture, an instructional, session for you. So get the most out of your education and watch these things so that you can learn from them. And obviously, it's going to help you maximize your ability to get a good grade in this class if you watch the labs or go to the lab session, because you're going to get the specifics from your instructor that they expect, and they're going to help clarify topics in the class and the assignment and that kind of thing. So very important. Also, do that before you go to your instructor first for questions. If you watch, if you read the instructions for an assignment and you watch their archive, you'll probably get all of those questions answered. And if you don't, then, reach out to them afterwards. But make sure you're looking at the resources we provide for you first. Okay, so what is digital literacy? Let's have some input from you guys, what you feel digital literacy is. Anyone? Okay, I see Zachary, you have your hand up. I'll go ahead and unmute you. Okay, and before that, Zachary, I also see that Edward's saying the ability to effectively communicate with digital tools and understanding terms and technology. Okay, those are both correct responses. Okay, Zach, if you want to go ahead, Zachary, and give your input.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I would say digital literacy is just being able to talk the lingo with the digital, all the new programs, being able to understand and just being up to date, not instead of calling somebody to ask if they got your email or something, you can ask if you can pretty much tell if they got it or not. So
right. Okay, that's a good point. Very good. Yeah. So knowing how to use the technology tools to figure out information, that's very good input. Absolutely. So that's great. Yep. So thank you for that. Good. Did you want to add anything else?
No.
Okay,
I think
that was good.
Basically just being able to communicate using the lingo, knowing what it means.
That's good. Yeah. So the understanding of that, I'm glad that Zachary added that, because there's the literacy part, right? It's not just using the digital tools, right? But it's using them effectively, as Dylan's saying, and having that literacy of them, understanding sometimes how the tools work, or the potential effects of the tools if they're not used correctly, things like that. So very good responses from all of you guys. These are all sound responses that all definitely are a part of digital literacy and things that we'll be covering in this class. So here's our definition from the department here. We say it's knowing and learning software, and we'll be focusing on different types of software this term, mainly with cloud-based tools, which are huge in professional industries these days. Obviously, people are using the cloud more and more. So becoming internet savvy naturally is a part of it, but that doesn't mean just good surfing or knowing, Also, it has to do with the second part of that, conducting proper research, being able to effectively analyze your research findings, knowing where to go to get specific types of research for professional or academic purposes, things of that nature, communicating in a professional manner, and making sure that things like your writing and the way that you communicate is at a level, that would be professional. That's certainly part of digital literacy. And we touch on your online image and creating a professional presence and things like that. So we talk about a lot of different things this month, and we talk about elements of digital literacy that relate to topics that are really important to all of us, like digital security, digital law, how to effectively, again, communicate. So there's 9 different elements that we'll be covering, and we'll be looking into these things with some pretty good detail. And then we'll be utilizing tools too, for conducting proper research, like research databases and things like that. And then we'll start on part of utilizing information is knowing what you can use and when you should use it. When you're able to use something like for intellectual property purposes, to make sure you're not like infringing on copyrights or things like that. So we'll cover a lot of these different things, and you'll get a different perspective from all of each instructor. But obviously, we're all covering the same content, so we'll be all covering these things that you see here on the screen, along with the different elements of digital citizenship. So lots of interesting information we'll be talking about. So it's really important that you stay, informed of what's going on, and that you communicate with your instructor if you have an issue, if you need help with something, or if you foresee a problem, like, maybe you've got kids at home and one of your children is sick or something like that, God forbid. But, anything that you need to reach out to us for, to let us know that you're staying on schedule, or if you need to ask if you could have extra time or something like that, you want to communicate those things ahead of time to your instructor when possible. And you want to make sure that you adhere to all deadlines. You also want to make sure that you check your full sail email at least twice a day. I would recommend during the week. If you don't log on one day, well, make sure you log on the next day and catch it. So you're not required to be in FSO every day, but to get the most out of the class, I think that's the best practice, to try and at least log in for a little while and make that part of your daily habits as you're going through school here. Because remember that each class only lasts 4 weeks, so that's not a very long time, right? It goes by really, really fast. So time management's ultra important. And you want to make sure that you are figuring out your time schedule and fitting school in now, starting now, because you're going to see that the weeks go by quickly and the deadlines come up on you very quickly. So all of your major assignments are due on Sunday by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so make sure that you've set FSO to go by your time zone that you live in. So it's always, anything related to Full Sail is always based on the Eastern Standard Time Zone, because that's where we're located, right, in Florida. So if you're in a time zone that's 2 hours earlier, your assignment would be due 2 hours earlier, but you also have access to the materials 2 hours earlier than someone over here. So everybody's got the same amount of time to look at, access, and work with all of the materials. Don't attach projects to emails. That's very important. We have a strong filtration system for quarantine. If your instructor says to do that, then that's one thing, but it's not a good idea, maybe sending a link. But where you need to turn your assignments in is through the forum. So for example, 1.4, you're going, that's class discussion. You're working there on the class discussion board and posting. For 1.5, you actually turn in a file for that, and you want to post that in 1.5. So each assignment goes in its appropriate forum for what that assignment is. So speaking of deadlines, you want to make sure that if you haven't already done that, that you're looking at the materials by by this evening, really, for 1.4, because you have to have 1.4, your initial post, posted by tomorrow, 11:59 Eastern Standard Time, right? So that happens quickly. That's why I'm telling you, the schedule moves fast, and it's really important to make sure that you guys are looking at the materials and that you're figuring out with your schedule, with your different responsibilities, when you have time to work on your assignments and things and managing those deadlines. So again, by Wednesday, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is tomorrow, you need to have your 1.4 initial post and vision file uploaded. If you're in my class, I have a video on 1.4 for you to watch. So please watch that, and that will help guide you through the assignment. If you're in a different class, you want to see what resources your instructor has for that. Yeah, and that's a good point that Edward's saying. It's best to use your Full Sail email while you're messaging, if you're emailing your instructor. For me, I prefer you use messages right inside of FSO because I'm guaranteed to get that. Also, keep in mind that the typical turnaround time, we've got lots of students and we're very busy. So the typical turnaround time at Full Sail to get your email responded to, except on the weekends, naturally, when we're not working, is 24 hours. So keep that in mind too, that your instructor, has a lot of students and is busy. So it will take up to 24 hours for your instructor to respond to you via email. And we try to get to them quicker when we can, when we have time. But do keep that in mind. So Edward is saying, yes, where I just addressed that right about the Full Sail email. Okay, good. All right, so let me go back to that previous slide real fast. Does anybody have any questions on that information or any of those kinds of things? No? Okay, let's see. Oh, I see Noreen has a question. Okay, Noreen, I'm unmuting you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, actually, I have a question for the previous slide. Um, for the professional online presence, can you elaborate on that just a little bit? Is that pertaining to like using proper grammar, or what exactly is that pertaining to?
Well, it really depends on how your instructor wants to address that, but a lot of us talk about not only professional communications, as I mentioned, and the level of writing and the way that you write and that kind of thing, but also with your different accounts, social media, and things. Your instructor will probably talk to you some about personal branding. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, we all do that in different ways, but we do typically touch on the importance of your online presence and making sure that your accounts and things and how that can affect you in the job search and different things like that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and let's see, do we have any other hands up at this time? I don't see. Let's see. Takes me a moment here to scroll through the list. So, okay, I've got all the hands that were up. And then David's asking in the chat box, where exactly is the 1.4 forum? So when you log into FSO, David, you'll see 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, and 1.5 on the dashboard. That's the main screen when you log into FSO. So that's where you'll see 1.4. So you want to open that up, read what you see on the screen, and then go to where it says downloads and make sure you download the instructions, look at the rubric, the instructions, and we provide an FAQ page for you too that helps you out with frequently asked questions that we find that students have. So make sure you look at those facts, FAQs too, if you have questions. So that's where you find it. You find all the access to the assignments on the dashboard when you log into FSO, the main screen. Okay, and then Nathan's asking that are the labs graded? Okay, technically, you're welcome, David. Technically, the labs are not graded, but they're going to help you maximize your grade, right? However, they do go toward participation. Everything in the class that you do goes toward participation. So if your instructor sees that you're not actively watching labs or watching the archives, they may deduct participation points from your GPS grade, something like that, okay? So you're required to do every 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. You're required to do every single thing you see on the dashboard. Even if it says 0% towards your main grade, it still factors into the learning, the materials, and into your overall participation grade. Okay. So Victor is asking in the activities bar, I have to go. Okay, wait. Yes, so it's also under activities. But you'll know once you're in FSO in the digital literacy course or in any course, you'll see on the dashboard the actual 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, and you just click on those in order as you're working on the assignment. You're welcome. Okay, and you turn in, as I mentioned before, Hendrika, you turn in your assignment under the proper forum. So if it's 1.4, you click on 1.4 and turn it in there. If it's 1.5, you click on 1.5 and turn it in there. So for discussions, you're going to click on class discussion and then post. Okay, for assignments that require you to upload something, like 1.5, you're going to click on 1.5 and then choose the arrow with the upload button and then submit your assignment that way. Okay? And again, you should have covered this stuff in orientation, so make sure that you have completed orientation quickly if you haven't already. Okay? And anytime you're having an issue with FSO, make sure you reach out to FSO support. If you can't get an assignment uploaded or something like that, FSO support is there to help you, and they are really helpful, by the way. So they are a great resource to you. So reach out to FSO support anytime you have any FSO related questions and issues like that. Okay. All right. So let's talk about some different digital tools that you guys are using. You're welcome. Remember that for 1.4, if you've had a chance to look at it, you need to use a tool, right? A Web 2.0 tool in order to create your digital identity, right? Your digital vision. So, like for mine that I've posted, and you'll see that your instructor has posted one on the discussion board, and then also some of your classmates have already gone in and posted. So you want to take a look at what your classmates are doing there. You want to learn from them, and then remember that you need to reply to at least 3 classmates to maximize your grade. So as its name implies, class discussion, it is meant to be between you and your classmates and your instructor. Okay, so you need to use, again, for 1.4, you need to use some kind of Web 2.0 tool. Remember, Michelle, I mentioned that you need to fill out the attendance form, and that is located under materials. So see here and go to, there's the materials tab. It's located under that. Okay. It's also, again, as I mentioned earlier, in the email that you guys get when you register. There's a confirmation email, and it's in there as well. You're welcome. Okay, so if you want some ideas for tools that you can use for 1.4, here, this is my Web 2.0 page. If you want to follow me here on Pinterest, you're more than welcome to. And there's that link if you'd like to click on it yourself and look at these tools, look at any of them or follow me or anything like that. So here's a list here of tools that you might want to use for 1.4. So it has to be a web-based tool, right? A Web 2.0 tool. So any of these would be a good choice. Okay. And if you have a specific question about a tool, naturally you want to reach out to your instructor. But the idea here is we want you guys to, challenge yourself and learn something new too. So this, if you check out my link there, you'll probably see some tools that you might not have used in the past. These are all free, by the way, and anything that you do in DGL, you can utilize free tools. So you don't need any specific software to get through DGL. Anything that anything that you use, like these Web 2.0 tools, cloud-based tools, we'll talk about all that more as we go through the course, are good to go. You're good to go with that. So it doesn't matter if you're on a Mac, PC, any of these tools will suffice. Okay. All right. So for 1.5, yeah, and bit strips is a fun one to do a little comic, and that's really cute for your digital identity for 1.4 if you wanted to use that. For 1.5, again, your instructor will be talking to you in greater detail about the assignment, but you're going to be using a research tool, a research highlighting collecting Web 2.0 tool called DGO. And DGO stands for the Digest of Internet Information Groups and Other Stuff. So you'll use it in a variety of ways. And we're using it kind of in an introductory fashion to get you used to collecting information and being able to use it to help you cite resources for 1.5. But there's lots of other things you can do with DGO too, like creating groups, networking with other professionals in your field who are on DGO, finding and seeing their research libraries, adding it into your Twitter feed, creating blog posts through it, and all different kinds of interesting things that you can use it for. Digitally confused. Well, hopefully you won't feel that way much longer. So you'll be using DGO for that. Under dgo.com/tools, www.dgo.com/tools, there are add-ons, extensions, and tutorials and things for you to download through there. So do make sure that you check out that link, dgo.com/tools, and download the any of the extensions, add-ons that you want to use. Like if you want to use it with your iPad, there's extensions for that kind of thing. I'm going to give you guys a little secret tip here too. DGO works the best, I think, in your 1.5 assignment, I think is the easiest to get through if you use Chrome, which Chrome is, the Google-based search engine, browser, the Google-based browser. And I just think that 1.5 works the easiest with Chrome. But you're welcome to use whatever browser you're comfortable with. If you want to use Firefox, Chrome, Safari, Internet Explorer. But again, I think it works easiest with the add-ons and things with Chrome. Okay. And again, as I already mentioned, that DGO is a Web 2.0 application, and it helps you research, share, and collaborate with others. And again, watch the videos under that dgo.com/tools and any information that your instructor is giving you naturally. So you're going to use DGO to, have a library and start collecting research and using it to figure out what the different digital literacy concepts are. So let's take a quick look at it. And so here's my DGO library. And you can see, lots of different links here. DGO catalogs information by tags. So tags are very important. So if I wanted to look on my resources that are about copyright, for example, I just click that and it pulls up my information on that, right? So you can see the tagging here. You'll be required to tag your information. This is bookmarking. You're required to bookmark information from each source, right? So yeah, over tag. Tagging's everything, right? Because that's how you actually, again, how it categorizes the information, okay? So you've got 20 terms for this assignment, and you need to have, you need to have at least, I would recommend at least two sources bookmarked for each term that describe what the term is. And then you need to, but to maximize your grade, look at the rubric, and it will tell you that in order to be in that higher range of your grade, you want to have 3 or more. And then you want to define each of the 20 terms. But again, speak to your instructor about what they expect and more specifics. The other hint that I have for you that makes DGO really easy to use is by using the DGO Let. And again, you can find that under dgo.com/tools. And if you click on that DGO Let, it pops right up. So if I go to a website and I want to bookmark it, right? So let's say I go to a website and I want to bookmark it. So let me just pull up a website real fast. Okay, so all right, let's see. Okay, so let's say that I wanted to find out about Mac basics. And so I go to, this website and I want to bookmark it, right? So, which this might not be what I'm looking for. Let's see here. All right, so let's say I wanted to find out about using Keynote, for example, which is kind of like PowerPoint for the Mac. It's a presentation tool, right? So if I wanted to find out about that, and I say, oh, I want to bookmark this website because it's interesting to me and I want to come back to it later, or I want to use it for research or an assignment or something like that, then what I would be doing is I would want to add it to my DGO library. So any of the sites that you see that you think are good that you want to add to your DGO library for that term, again, I think the easiest way to use it is with the DGO Let. So you just add the DGO Let to your toolbar, click it, and then I can just go to bookmark right here. And it automatically plugs in the URL. It gives me the title of the web page. You want to make sure, this is very important right here. This is one of the most important things. See how it says private? Everybody see that? Okay, good. So you want to deselect private. If you don't do that, your instructor will not be able to see it. Okay? So very important that you deselect private. And you want to tag it. Now it's already given me a couple tags, right? Mac and slideshow, so I could use those. And then I'll say presentations, I could say Web 2.0, whatever I want to do. I could say software, Apple, right? So whatever helps me know what this resource is, to catalog it appropriately, that's what the tags are for. And then to go back later and retrieve it as your library grows. So for this assignment, I would also recommend putting in a tag of 1.5. So if you add anything else to your library, your instructor knows that what's a resource for the assignment. So 1.5, I'd again recommend adding that tag as well. So there we go. There are my tags, right? And now all I have to do is click Save Bookmark, and it's in there. Okay, so I did that. The other thing you want to do is you want to make sure that whatever information you're wanting to call attention to that is helping you figure out what something is you want to bookmark some of the information. So like if I highlight this information, see how that pops up, that little menu, and I can choose highlight, and now that information will be put in my DGO library. So don't just randomly highlight information for the assignment. Figure out, like say it's the term MOOC, which stands for Massive Online Open Course. If whatever information in that source is relevant to you that helps you understand that concept, that digital literacy concept, you want to highlight that information. Okay? So make sure you highlight information for each source. So if I go back into my DGO library, there it is, right? That's what I just added. So see how easy that was? There are my tags, right? There's the direct link, the title, and there's the information that I just bookmarked. Okay, so your instructor will go through that again with you, and you'll have, if you're in my class, you'll be getting a full out tutorial on it that you'll want to watch that will be on the community discussion board. So make sure you look into that later in the week. Okay. And Edward's saying that as the DGO instructions state, you had to keep reminding yourself, use quotations for tags with spaces. Okay, that's a good point. Yeah. So if it's a tag with a space, yeah, he's putting them in quotes and then a space in between the two words. So like when two words are related versus being a single tag. So that's a good tip. And then Jonathan saying it's much easier than the DGO website makes it look. Well, see, it is actually easy, right? Once you see how it's done quickly, right? Then it's not hard, is it? So DGO Let, again, helps make it easier to use it. Yeah, it's not hard at all. And in order, again, to get that DGO Let, and it says it's for new users, but I've been using DGO for about 5 years, and I still use the DGO Let because it's so easy. So right here is, again, dgo.com/tools. So if I click on that link there that tells me about the DGO Let, all I have to do to get that DGO Let installed on my browser is click it. See, I'm clicking that and drag and drop it onto your toolbar, and voila, hit enter, and there it is. And it's ready to be used. See how easy, right? Takes just a few seconds to install it, and you're up and running with the DGO Let. Can you guys still hear me? Okay, and that's good. All right, good. And Chrome extension is good. Again, you know, DGO works very well with Chrome, but any of the browsers, you know, that I mentioned will work. So yes, good stuff. All right. So again, you can highlight important information within any website. You can bookmark websites for easy retrieval. Yeah, it's not hard really with any of it. It's just like any other tool that's new to you. It takes a little getting used to, and it takes some practice, you know, and it takes some time to get to know how to use it. But yeah, it's not hard with any of the tools really. You can attach things like sticky notes to remind you of important information. You can share out your library via different networks like Twitter and so forth. Like I mentioned earlier, you can work with people in groups. You can do all kinds of things. You can easily post to your blog through DGO, all different kinds of things. So DGO is a really handy, useful tool. And a nice thing too is if you're doing an assignment, yeah, tons of stickies, they're good. And if you're doing an assignment, it's a great way to put your research in there, and then you can provide the link to your research through DGO. So you want to turn in your DGO link to your library, right? So here's my library, right? So this is the link to my DGO library. So this is what I need to submit to my instructor, right? So there's my DGO link. That's what I need to submit. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and put that in the text box if anybody wants to click into my library and see what's in there and browse around, just in case you want to get some ideas. So here's like an example of 1.5 of starting it naturally, okay? So that's an example. Now, don't worry about this being lists. Lists don't exist anymore. They're now called outliners, so you don't need to worry about that feature. You can just look at my main library if you want to. This is also a great resource that I've got here in my DGO library, 100 search engines for academic research. So this will give you some good tools to use for doing research for this assignment too. If you want to look at this website, there's 100 search engines here because we don't want you guys using like dictionaries and Wikipedias and stuff, because we want you guys to synthesize this information and get an understanding of it, by reading articles, not just by looking at a definition. Okay, are we ready to get on that? So see this, lots of different great search engines that are good for business and academic research. And did I put my DGO library link in there for you guys? Yes, I did. Okay, so it's dgo.com if you want to look that up. digo.com/user/elearningpro1. All right, good stuff. Sounds like everybody's feeling a little better about Digo, which is great. Okay, and Lee is asking, does writing versus audio and video hold the same level of credit as on all assignments? That's a really good question, Lee. Well, here's the thing. You have different requirements for different assignments. And as instructors, we do enjoy seeing a variety, of different assignments. But like for 1.4, for example, video and audio would hold the same amount of credit, as long as you make sure you hit all the elements that are required for the assignment. So you naturally have the text part too, where you're writing about your vision. But yes, they would hold the same amount of credits. So that's a good question. Okay, so again, make sure you get that 1.4 up by tomorrow. Take a look at your instructor's vision and take a look at what your classmates have already posted. And remember to have yours in by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So on the weekends, when your instructor is more than likely not working, as I mentioned, most of us do work Monday through Friday in the DGL department and are off on Saturday and Sunday. So during that time, yes, can I resubmit my library? Yes, Bruce, I'll be glad to do that. Let me go ahead and give you that link again. You're welcome. There it is. Okay, and so let's see here. Where was I? Aha, the DGL helpline, that's where I was. So when your instructor's not working, we have the DGL helpline that you can use with the chat program, and just type in dglhelp@aim.com and you can get someone from the DGL department available on Saturday and Sunday, as the hours listed here, to help you out. So it's only for DGL students because we want to be able to help you guys while you're in class. So it's not open to you, obviously, after you graduate from DGL. So because we have lots of current students every month, so we want to make sure we pay attention to those of you who are current students. And then, when you go to your next class, you see what kind of resources that department has for you. So do reach out to the DGL helpline if you have questions, again, over the weekend. Make sure you've reviewed your instructor's resources and posts, though, and the instructions for the assignment before you reach out. Okay, and then Jonathan's asking, it got overlooked, but sorry about that. Yeah, the chat box moves quickly, and I'm looking at the screen and the chat and all that, so sorry, I might miss one. So definitely restate your question like he's doing if I do miss something. So Jonathan's saying, when highlighting anything on a source, would it be smart to annotate for including some form of description for your instructor, or are they paying most attention to your tags? Yeah, you definitely want to do that bookmarking part, Jonathan. So as I mentioned, so like if I click on a link and I look at whatever information helps me understand it, I want to go ahead and highlight that information, right? And it will pop up in my library then. So like if I'm using the DGL, remember I just highlight it, right? And then, it'll be highlighted. So there we go. See? Or I could click up here, highlight, and do it that way. Okay, so remember the recordings will be, because we want to see what is helping you understand that information, right? And obviously, so you have it to refer to later so you understand the different concepts of digital literacy. So again, the recordings will be posted by your individual instructor in your class, and they will likely be under the community discussion board, you're welcome, Jonathan, or under announcements. So if you're in my class, they're all on the community discussion board. And if you don't see them under announcements or under community discussion board, check announcements. Now, the thing is that usually with global sessions, we post them sometime on Wednesday typically, or probably Thursday at the latest, because we've got live sessions going on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So your instructor will probably post the global link tomorrow. It takes time to process these, so same with the labs. Those will usually be posted by your instructor within 24 hours of the live session. unless they tell you otherwise. So that's typically how most of us do it in the department, and that's definitely how I do it. You're welcome. So on that note, we've covered everything we needed to for the global overview of this week, week 1 in DGL. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to raise your hand. And remember, if it's something specific on the assignment, do reach out to your instructor because they're the ones grading it. So you want their specific tips, right? Okay, I don't see any hands up. We had questions earlier. So you guys were very good and thorough in your questions and participation today, which I appreciate. Oh, and I see we do have a question. Shakana, you are now unmuted. Michael, I'd say yes. Not always, but yes. Okay. I'll not repeat that question, though. We'll just leave that for those of us who are here in the global. Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you. And thank you guys, by the way.
Sorry, this is
yes.
Sorry,
yes. No problem.
I'm in David Knox class, and the deadline for 1.4 says March 8th. So it's just to be clear, it's tomorrow, correct?
Okay. Well, what that means is your initial post is due by tomorrow, which you'll see that in the instructions, that your initial post is due by Wednesday. But your replies, remember, so you have to reply to 2 or more students, preferably 3 or more to maximize your grade. Your replies are due by Sunday, which is March 8th. So it's a discussion, right? So
okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. So you need time for your other classmates to post and reply.
And I'm still kind of unclear where to go for the discussion.
Okay, so for the discussion, you click on that 1.4, right? And then you click on the link that says class discussion, and you'll see all of your classmates' postings. And then at the top, you'll see where it says, to post, and you just click in that little box and you put your post in there. Okay, so open up that forum and look at it and click on that link, class discussion, and you'll see your classmates' posts and where you can post. So again, it's under 1.4 and then click class discussion. Okay. And yes, Yasmina, we don't specifically look for extreme, since it's not, we have the literacy component, but we're not going to critique you on the level of in your English class, but we do expect your writing to be college level writing. And we definitely expect complete sentences and that kind of thing. So yeah, if you need any advice on that, reach out to your instructor for sure. I see. So yeah, that should be fine. And your instructor is not, probably going to, if you use a word, in a context that's a little bit different, I'm sure they're not going to count off for that. But you might want to check with your instructor. We also have the writing center. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, favorite. I mean, we are based obviously on the, American English, obviously being a United States college. So I would check with your instructor specifically. I would not count off for the difference in something like that. I would consider that very minor. So definitely, might want to reach out to your instructor on that. You're welcome. Okay, and do we have any other questions? Let's see. I see Edward has a question. So Edward, you're unmuted.
All right. I've heard from a few, or at least a couple instructors, through whichever methods they're using to post, that they have their suggested tools, their Web 2.0 tools, either for this project or another task that we have.
Okay, yes.
Is there a full sale hosted page? Okay.
No, well, technically, no, because each department, each class, of course, is, different, and each instructor has their different, resources that they share with you and that type of thing. So there's nothing that's recommended globally per se, but for advice, as I showed you earlier. My Web 2.0 tools Pinterest page has all these different links to the different Web 2.0 tools that any of these would work well for 1.4. So if you want to look at my page, there's the link again for that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And let's see, how often are assignments graded? Nathan's asking. Assignments are, technically your assignments are due Sunday, right? But really, we're not going to see them till Monday, right? Of course, because it's 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a minute before midnight. So Monday, when your instructor logs in, they'll have access to your completed 1.4s and completed 1.5s, and they'll begin grading them. So like in my case, I usually get through my discussion boards by Tuesday, all grades for those in, and then I spend the next few days doing all of the 1.5s. So you'll have your grades in DGL within a week, unless there's an issue with the assignment, and then your instructor will get back to you on that and ask you maybe to resubmit or something. But you will have your grades within 1 week of the due date. Naturally, we don't go in and grade until the assignment closes, because like for the discussions, we can't grade it until it's done, right? Because you have to have the time to be able to reply to your classmates. So it doesn't close till, again, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So your instructor will spend the week grading them, starting Monday when they have access. So again, within 7 days of the due date, you'll see your grades on each assignment. Okay. And if you had your hand up and I've answered your question, please put it down so that I don't go back over you, and I make sure that I've addressed everybody's questions. Okay, so William, I'm unmuting you.
Yes, I have a quick question.
Okay.
And this is about email. Like, for instance, the email for the event, when I tried to sign up for the class, it wouldn't send me back to my connect, but I had to send it to my personal email. So is that a problem on my end, or is there someone that I need to call to get that?
Okay, I'm having a really hard time hearing you. It sounds like you're way back in the distance somewhere. So I would, if you're having questions about email, check with FSO support, and they'll help you if you're not sure where to, how to log in or anything like that. They'll help you with that. But yeah, your microphone's waving in and out. There's also a message under announcements that your instructor has posted that has a link to information on working with your Full Sail email. So check that out too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And well, Michael, good question. We don't have a phrase for the globals. That's only for my labs. But see, I'm glad to see that you're noticing that. That's good. Okay. Yeah, so no phrase for the globals, just the attendance link for that. Those are for my labs. Okay, so let's see. Okay, Bernard, I'm unmuting you. You're welcome.
Greetings to all. Ms. Mindy, I wanted to find out, are the archive section, the sessions that are archived, will these chats be made available in those archive recordings?
The chats will not be available in the archived recordings. So those are, during the live session, the chat box is going on. So yeah, that's why I always repeat the question that's being placed in the chat box.
Right.
Yeah, so that way if you're in the archive, if you're watching the archive, that way you still get the question that somebody's saying. So yeah, that's
right. I was mainly concerned about your DGL profile as well as your Pinterest. Okay,
well, since you're here, I put those links available, but if you're in my class, so if you're here, you're getting them. So if you're if you're in another class, then your instructor will be covering different things, and so you'll get their archive. But if you're in my class and you're wanting the links that I talked about, I'm going to be posting them on the community discussion board.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. So I'll be posting them along with this archive, and I'll say, here are the links I just discussed in the session, and I'll have these links for you.
Okay.
So you're welcome. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Richard. So everybody has contributed very well today. We had lots of great questions, very good participation. So I appreciate that. I think it's been a great session. So congratulations, you guys, on your decision to further your education and to come to Full Sail. This is an exciting time for you all. Definitely, you want to make sure you get the most out of it. Okay, Jonathan, you're unmuted. That's okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm sorry. I just had one last quick question because it sounded like you were wrapping up. The materials has a for section. What digital tools do you use? Is that something we need to get done, or?
Okay, under materials, what digital tools do you use? No, you don't. You can take a look at that, but you don't have to actually. You can plug in information if you want, but you don't have to. It's not required. It's just kind of an additional resource for you. But see,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. You're looking at the materials. Very good. Thank you, Bruce. So I think we're off to a very good start this month. Seeing lots of activity going on in my classes, so that's great. All right. So let's see. I don't see any more hands up at this time. So we'll go ahead and close out the session. I appreciate everybody's participation and for attending today during my global session. Hope you all have a fantastic week. Welcome to DGL, and again, congrats on your decision to further your education. You've made a good choice. Have a great afternoon, you guys, and we'll be seeing you online.